But I will say this, for those of you who watch my story time about the time I dated my male friend, if you want an update, you will get one because I saw him this weekend. Okay? Yo, party people, it's Ashley of SingleWomenChronicles.com, where I encourage single women to be their best selves by healing and avoiding certain pitfalls in dating, love, and relationships. And today's episode is brought to you by my book, How to X Your Ex, a guide to getting past unhealthy relationships. It's time to end the agonizing cycle of unhealthy relationships. Most people struggle with breakups because they just don't know how to start the healing process. How to X Your Ex is a step-by-step guide on moving past unhealthy relationships. Renew your strength and find happiness again by walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. Learn how to stop the overwhelming thoughts of your ex, get rid of the feelings of regret and shame, eliminate the crushing feelings of rejection, be at peace with your decision to leave, and be hopeful that there is better out there. You can get How to X Your Ex right now today on Amazon.com, books on Google Play, Apple Books, and it's available on Audible. If you do not like to read, you like to listen to your books. I love me some Audible. All right. Today's episode. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm hoping it's long enough. But sometimes I just be talking and it goes on. And then sometimes I'll be like, I don't have anything else for you guys. But, this was another like revelation weekend. Not revelations like in the Bible, but like getting several revelations about life and learning. And I don't know if this happens to me so often because I'm an overthinker, but I'm also extremely aware of myself and my thoughts and my feelings. And I'm really good at like thinking about what I'm thinking about. So it can be very helpful with talking yourself down off the ledge. But this past weekend was just very like an emotional roller coaster and just trying to connect the dots. I'm kind of still processing it, but it's just a lot. But I will say this, for those of you who watch my story time about the time I dated my male friend, if you want an update, you will get one because I saw him this weekend. Okay? Yeah. So tune in. Tell a friend and tell a friend, because I know some people was like, I wanted an update. Oh my God, that was it. Yes, that was it. That was it. But we have a little bit of an update, and I mean a little bit. Okay. So over the weekend, I attended a wine fest in Roswell. Roswell's Mimosa Fest is actually what it's called. And it's pretty groovy, little event, but it was very, very hot. And of course, it was like mostly people and couples and stuff. And when I go to events, I'm not going to meet people, meet guys. Now, if there are guys there to be met, I'm willing to do that. But I'm really just here to have a good time, right? But I was triggered. And it's funny that I was triggered because I don't know about y'all. This is like a random side note. But do y'all have a song for every season of y'all life, or like a song for that person? Because I got songs for people. Because usually when I'm going through something or trying to get over somebody, music helps me through that. So typically there is a song for each ex I've dealt with or each person that's out of my life that's a guy. So I have one ex, the Black album, you know, the guy spelled the number 6, Lack, not Six Lack, it's Black. Him, that album was for an ex. I have another Janae Aiko, that album is for that. And then I have Big Lotto. Listen, that first album, honey, got me through some stuff because she be talking that talk, okay? So, yeah, I just have these albums. So for this particular person, when I was going through my go through, y'all got to go back and listen to the story time, the time I dated my male friend. When I was going through my go through with him, my theme song was Triggered by Janae Aiko. I don't know how you say her name. Aiko, one of those, but her. I was going through, and so I was triggered this weekend when I saw him. And again, that was the album or the song for my life at the time. So I'm minding my business, having a good old grand day, having a blast, inebriated off of mimosas, unlimited mimosas, rum punch mimosas to be specific, peach mimosas, pineapple mimosas, all types of mimosas. I'm hot, I'm melting, but I'm still having a blast. I'm standing in line waiting to get food because the food trucks are packed. And I'm sitting there, and my friend was waiting in line. I had went to sit down. And this lovely young lady came over to me and just started talking to me. Beautiful girl. We're just randomly having a conversation. And all of a sudden I turned to my left. Just like Tweet when she said, I look over to my left and I see him. There he was. I'll just reveal it to you guys like a soft reveal. First, I saw the tattoo on his arm that I know also well, because most of the time when I was around him, he only had on tanks. And he's a quite attractive fellow. And y'all know I love me some tattoos. If you didn't know, now you know. And I see this arm tattoo and I'm like, no way. No way that can be him. He don't even hang out at spots. Like, what is happening right now? So I see the arm tat, and then I see this situation that he has on his head. It's just like he had on a hat with a towel underneath, and he used to do that all the time. And I'm just like, there is no way. There is no way this man is here. Like, out of all the places and all the weekends, why he got to ruin this for me? And I'll say he ruined it for me because I'm just instantly triggered because, again, I told y'all how it left off. And, there's no bad blood. It's just more so like, you just out having fun. And even if you see somebody like an ex or something like that, this situation was very different for me because we started in a friendship and then tried to date. And then how it ended was so like semicolon. It wasn't really, it was a period, but not really, because like there really was no closure there. Now, I don't need closure to move on from anyone, right? But I've been realizing lately that I have not let go of a lot of things. So let's rewind, right? I'm in a season of life right now, and I know this episode is called Managing Loneliness, but if you stay with me, I will get there. Okay? I will get there. I promise you. Okay. So I'm in this season, right? God loves for me to grow internally, and it's very, very annoying. It is very frustrating because I have to make these choices that go against my feelings all the time. It's always about what's the best decision. It's not about the decision that's going to make me feel good, but what's the best decision for me and where I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to be, right? So I'm in this season where I'm reading this book I told y'all called Knight in Shining Armor, and it prepares you for your husband. But basically it's more so bringing you closer to God, so God can fill the gaps of your loneliness instead of you trying to fill them yourself. Because we already know when we try to fill our gaps ourselves, it's just a whole mess. And so the first chapter, y'all, second chapter, I've only gotten to the second chapter because I'm still working through it. So I had already mentioned that the second chapter was talking about forgiveness and forgiving people and letting them go. So I had to write a list of people who I need to forgive. And he's on that list. And I realized that I'm able to walk away from people, but they still have space in my emotions because I haven't been able to forgive them, but I also hadn't been able to let go of the possibilities of them. Okay. And I discovered that this weekend after processing these shenanigans. Right. So and I hope y'all not waiting on like more from the friend. I literally just saw him and that was it. Like, I didn't walk up to him, say anything. Like, I saw him outside. I know he didn't see me when we were outside. I went in later on and he was like by the DJ booth and he looked in my direction, but he had on shades. I don't know if he saw me or not, but I saw him and it was just like me trying to turn around and kind of avoid it. But yeah, we didn't talk to each other, if you guys are wondering. That's all I got. I'm sorry. That's it. That's all. Right. So I'm wondering if God, because God, in his sense of humor, child, I'm wondering if God revealed or allowed me to see him this weekend so that he can trigger me so that I can move on quicker through this letting go process, this forgiveness process. God tends to do that to me. He loves poking me, like almost pushing me over the edge and then not. Like crazy. But anyway, so he's on my list to forgive, and like, and it's not even that I'm angry at him. It's more so like just letting go of what could have been, because we all want people to act like we want them to act in the moment. What I mean by that is, when we got into it, again, if you are lost by this story, stop this, go listen to my story time, the time I dated my male friend, come back and listen. But when we ended things, it was really miscommunication. And I already said what I wish I would have done differently. But again, a huge part of me wanted him to be different too. I wanted him to communicate, to fight, to not just let me walk away, to actually try. But we were both stubborn and we both just stopped talking to each other. So it's really fault on both ends. But there's a part of me that's just kind of like, what would have happened if he would have fought? What would have happened if he would have communicated when I asked him to communicate? Because I begged him to communicate with me and asked what the problem was. When he finally told me what the problem was, I was over it. I wasn't over it, but my door was closed. I wasn't trying to work it out, because it's like, I just spent all of this time trying to pull teeth for you to open up and talk to me. Why didn't you just open up before? Like, we didn't even have to do this. So that pissed me off. So that's when I was like, deuces. So it was just a lot of emotions going on. So me trying to let him go. So just seeing him was like that reminder, like, hey, God's tapping on my shoulder, like, hey, you still got to let people go. We still in the season of forgiveness. Hey. And I'm like, but why am I mimosa fast? Why I can't do this on a random week? Why you got to do this at my mimosa fest? Like, so I'm triggered. So I'm working through my emotions while under the influence. And of course, I still had a good time for the rest of the day, but just emotionally later that day, just all of this stuff came pouring in. And immediately I felt lonely. Immediately I felt like, did I make the right decision? Did all of these things, right? So let's talk about how loneliness even manifests in your life. I feel like there's levels to loneliness, right? So there's one level of loneliness where it's just human. We want, like, even God said it's not good for man to be alone, right? And we need people to feel good, to feel whole, to feel whatever. Not saying that somebody gonna complete you, but I'm just saying, to feel on this earth, you're going to need to be a part of a community, of a family, of something. That's why we don't just come out here and God just sends us alone. Like, no, we're born into a family for a reason. We need a sense of belonging, right? So that's a human level of just loneliness. And that can usually be cured by just going around your family, going around your friends, getting a hug, just going outside, right? But then there's like this loneliness that's associated with being single that a lot of people don't understand unless you have been single for a very long time. Or you're that person who feels that loneliness, but every time you feel it, you jump into another relationship. I ain't gonna get in your house today. I'm just gonna skip over that. But whatever. Cool. So when you've been single for a long time and you're trying to continue to wait for your person, to wait for the good thing, the great thing, you're going to feel this level of loneliness that makes you go on a spiral. And the spiral is like mental and it's emotional. So this mental and emotional spiral is like, it starts with, you get triggered somehow. So either you get triggered by seeing somebody who used to date that it didn't end like you wanted it to end. There wasn't really closure there. You're still kind of processing those emotions, even if you knew it or not. Triggered by lonely. So now your brain is like, dang, maybe I shouldn't have let them go. Or maybe I shouldn't have said what I said, did what I did. You just start internalizing all of this stuff. You going on this roller coaster, right? You wondering, did I make the right decision? And then you start thinking about all the other dudes in your life. Like, dang, I did him like that too. Dang, now I'm over here lonely. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. I know y'all feel me. If you've been single for a minute, You feel me? So this trigger of loneliness, and it also could be triggered by random things, like you on Instagram one day and you scrolling and everybody seem to be happy and in a relationship. Everybody getting married, everybody engaged, everybody having a baby. And you just sitting here by yourself eating chips while your dog is asleep. Like, you just trigger, right? So when you're going through this loneliness, your typical response is to try to quench the loneliness. You're trying to quench your thirst, right? So what do when trying to quench this thirst of loneliness? How do you react? How do you respond? And I know for me in the past, my response has been, I'm going to be real with y'all. Let me see who in my phone that I can hit up. Well, this season, God has made me remove everybody. And it's not like I had a lot of everybody's. I only had one person, and I cut him off a few months ago. So now I don't have nobody, because I'm in this season of trying to submit and get closer to God and allow him to feel my loneliness. Other things I would do: get on dating apps and just try to search for somebody to fill that void. This is a side note. Never seek a partner when you are dealing with your loneliness. You're going to pick wrong. You're going to pick absolutely wrong. It's not going to be good for you. When you are picking, you need to be picking from a healthy space. You need to be picking from joy, from abundance, from you just out here having fun. You don't need to be picking because, oh, I'm lonely. Because loneliness can turn into somebody moving in your house that's a hobosexual, meaning he's homeless, hobosexual. Or somebody that, just somebody you trying to smash every now and again, then you end up pregnant. Like, it's just decisions you make when you're going through your loneliness. Just stop for a second. Okay. So I've had several moments where I jumped on a dating app and just was trying to connect with somebody real quick so they could ask me out on a date so I can get rid of this lonely feeling. Right. But I'm not doing that. I done told y'all I'm not on these dating apps. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I already know what that does. It's stupidity. So no. And then other times I just fall into this depressive state where I'll just sit here and I'll just eat. I'll binge eat and just feel lonely and sad and just cry and just be a mess. Right. And so this weekend I had to make a choice. Like, how are you going to process this? So I had so much going on. So after the wine fest, I had to go to a friend's birthday party. So went to the friend's birthday party. Yesterday was Sunday, Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers listening. I had to go to church. I had to go to the mall and pick my mom's Mother's Day gift up. Don't judge me. Yes, it was last minute, whatever. And then we went to see Mike Epps. So a whole bunch of moving all weekend. So I wasn't really able to sit, which I enjoy because I'm like, I don't want to try to fall back into old patterns of loneliness, right? But in the midst of me going through all this, I'm still processing these emotions, right? So another thing, so all my dots be connecting, y'all. So this is why I say God is so perfect on how he operates with things. So I know it's not a coincidence that I've been reading this book and I'm still stuck on this first chapter trying to forgive people, right? I know it's not a coincidence that in this season, I would see this individual who God knew would trigger more emotions than somebody else. Because if I would have seen some of them other foods, I probably wouldn't have cared. But because I hold friendship so near and dear to me, and because him and I started off as friends and we didn't end as friends, God knew yeah, this the one. I can send this one because she gonna recognize this one. I know that's not a coincidence. And 3, another thing that's not a coincidence, for you guys who don't know, I ghostwrite. So I had a client I was ghostwriting for, and I was ghostwriting a book on mental health. Sidebar, shameless plug. If you're looking for a ghostwriter, if you need somebody to help you with your book, with articles, with a blog, whatever, hit me up, ashleygeist.com, whatever. Okay. Back to your regular scheduled programs. But I'm writing this book on mental health, and I'm having to do a lot of research on managing thoughts, managing emotions, how to break cycles. So right now I am in a cycle breaking season. I'm changing. I don't know if you guys ever felt yourself changing, like really felt your change. Because in the past, my change has been like more so a sudden change, or I was going through so many emotions I couldn't recognize the gradual change. But I'm in a season where I'm feeling my change. Like I feel it with everything in me. So it's just a weird emotion. But I'm reading this, I'm reading and I'm writing about the process of cycle breaking, right? So when we have those thoughts of loneliness, right? The first thing we want to do is eliminate the feeling of loneliness. We want to get rid of that feeling. Unfortunately, that is harder than choosing a different action. Trying to change a thought is very, very hard. But I can tell you not to internalize. Don't go down the rabbit hole of coulda, woulda, shouldas of your past. Because when you get in that lonely mode, you start thinking about how you should have answered that DM 16 years ago. And now he's off and he's married. And you're like, I'm so stupid. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. So don't go down that path of like blaming yourself, beating yourself up, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Because it ain't about that. It's just a feeling. It's just a moment. It's gonna pass. So remember that. But the best way to break the cycle, even of loneliness, is making different choices, choosing different reactions. So this weekend, instead of hitting somebody up, hanging out with somebody, trying to quench the feeling of loneliness, I sat in it and I evaluated and I just made a different choice. I didn't allow it to take over. Right? So the best way to break a cycle in the book, it just talks about, for example, say you have this thought in your mind, like, I'm a failure. Like deep down, I believe this core belief, I'm a failure, right? And you want to change this thought, but it keeps coming on and you keep feeling like your life is telling you you're a failure, right? The best way to change the thought is to change the reaction. By changing the reaction, you challenge yourself to do something. Say, for example, okay, for the next week, I'm going to run a mile every single day. So no matter what, no matter how I feel, I'm going to run a mile every single day. So for the next week, you run a mile every single day. You no longer have evidence that you are a failure because you just succeeded at something. So it's no proof. You have no evidence that says unanimously I'm a failure because you just succeeded at running for a mile for a week, right? So that's how you break the cycle. So if you feel lonely and you think the only way to quench that thirst of loneliness is to hit these people up, to go on, a dating app, to drink, to sit sad, whatever. And then you can be sad. I'm just saying, like, don't do extreme things. Like, don't binge eat and then you're mad at yourself because you done gained 2 pounds over the weekend. Don't, drink so much that it consumes you or whatever, but sit in your emotions. But instead of doing the things that you usually do, which are unhealthy, do something new. Because your brain is telling you that the only way that I can no longer feel lonely again is by doing X, Y, and Z. But you have to choose a different way that's a more healthy way. And you'll prove to yourself, oh, I can do that. So instead of hitting a dude up, doing such and such, how about I go hang out with my family? Let me go see my mom. Let me go for a walk. Let me go have a picnic, by myself. Let me go to a restaurant. Like, let me do something productive. Let me go meditate. Let me go journal. Let me go do something productive. Like, that's the way to change the cycle, because then you'll realize, like, wait, I can quench my thirst for loneliness in a different way that is not counterproductive. Because it's very counterproductive to try to find somebody to quench your loneliness while you're lonely. Because I done told y'all going to make horrible choices. These fools is going to be fools. Like, they going to be fools, okay? I'm telling you they're going to be fools. I know, because I've done it on many occasions. At least 16 to 18 times. I've done it. And every single time, these fools have been fools. That's how I got to the story times in the first place. Because these fools be fools. Okay. So the best way to manage your loneliness is to, one, recognize your triggers. So like, okay, when do I feel this heavy emotion of loneliness? Like, what am I doing when it happens? So you have to be cognitive of that, because I done told y'all. For me, I couldn't control this weekend seeing that boy. I couldn't control him. I couldn't control that. And or it could be like on social media. Maybe you need to take a social media break, or maybe you're watching TV and these love movies and they triggering you. Go watch a comedy. Like, try to eliminate as many triggers as possible until you're kind of like stabilized. 2, ask yourself, what do I do when I feel lonely? Do I do unhealthy patterns, or do I just sit in my emotions and that's healthy? Like, ask yourself, what am I doing? And then when you recognize what you're doing, try to create, and you realize that some of these things are unhealthy, try to create a plan of action that you can do next time that you are triggered by these lonely feelings, so you can have a different outcome, because you're trying to break a cycle. I think a lot of us are stuck in the same type of cycle with loneliness, with picking wrong, because we're picking from a place of loneliness, picking from a place of sadness, picking from a place of lack. When you pick from those places, you're going to pick wrong each and every time. So I know I jumped around a lot, but hopefully this helps somebody. But I'm just trying to help y'all manage loneliness, because it is a very hard thing. It is a very hard thing, managing loneliness. And it sucks, but you can do it. All right, y'all. Till next time. Bye.